Today's guest is Kyle Reynolds, based out of sunny Southern California. Kyle Reynolds is an established singer, songwriter, and producer who racked up close to 3 million Spotify streams in 2020. Welcome, Kyle Reynolds.
Hey,
Yo, what's
thanks for
up?
being here, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you're in LA right now, right?
Yeah, so well, technically, I usually just tell people I'm from LA, but technically, I'm like an hour south in Orange County. I live in this little beach town called San Clemente. But yeah, I guess I just usually tell people I'm from LA. So
Yeah.
I'm either working here in my like room studio or driving to LA. But because of the current situation of the world, a lot more sessions have been via Zoom like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, out here and yeah, enjoying it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Have you always been in LA?
Pretty much. I grew up out here, but then I lived in Nashville for a couple years actually. I think it was
Oh,
like
okay.
2015 to 2017 or somewhere around then. But besides that, I've been here my whole life.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
so you moved to Nashville then for a couple years. Did you move there for music or?
Yeah, I wasn't like I'm gonna go to Nashville and make it big, but like I before I'd moved to Nashville, I'd only written songs like alone in my room, and I got connected to a couple people out there and got introduced to co-writing. And at first, before I moved out there, I took one trip out there, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like everyone is like the best. Like every guitar player is like the best guitar player I've ever met. Every song, and I'm like, this is the best song I've ever met. And then it was just cool. I started kind of collaborating with some people out there. And then I came back here to LA and I was like, dang, I can't do what I'm doing in Nashville back here. Um, and that was, I mean, I hadn't written with anyone in LA. So I was only connected in Nashville at this point. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out to Nashville and just kind of like, I guess, explore that versus like, I didn't really have huge expectations versus like, I've always loved people and just hanging out. And it's a very community based town. And as much as it is about the music, it's about the hang as well. And so I just love that. Everyone is super kind and welcoming. And so I moved out there and it was awesome. And I feel like I kind of got like a master class in songwriting just by living
Yeah.
out there and working with some of the best songwriters and watching people. And yeah, it was like an incredible experience. And still some of my best friends like live out there and I still go back and forth pretty often.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Nashville's a great music town. I mean, so is LA. LA
Yeah.
is the
They're both great. I love them.
an
They're both
obvious,
great
yeah.
for different reasons, and there's things I love about both of them, things I'm like about both of them. So, but overall, I love being in California, and my family's out here, the beach, Mexican food, and
Yeah.
a lot of the type of music I make is done out here. But I still love my trips to Nashville and working out there as well.
Yeah. You have pop sound. A lot of your more recent stuff, like your latest release solo was Asshole, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great song. I was actually
Thank you
just
so
listening
much.
to that again.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
for
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite songs. It's the name's a little polarizing, but I also that's also kind of reason I like it. It's like a almost like a sweet acoustic song.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, and I kind of for myself, yeah, I'd say my music is like pop singer songwriter. But then depending on if I'm working with for someone else, like even this week alone, like today I have like a K-pop session. The other day I did like a hip hop thing, and yesterday I did like a pop song. So it's just kind of just depending on what it is. And I love that. Like especially like my manager and our whole team, they kind of place records in every genre, which like for me is ideal just because like I love a week if I can have like a country session, a pop session, just kind of especially if you're writing every single day. For me, it's really nice to kind of have it split up like that. And it just allows you to kind of stay inspired and keep you on your toes as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. So do you do the majority of the songwriting for a bunch of different people then? Like, is that kind of like your main thing, songwriting?
yeah, I'd say it kind of changes back. Yeah, kind of just depending on like, um, I don't know. I'd say most of my time and energy lately in the past year has been spent writing for other people. Um, while slowly still putting out my own music. And I am an artist regardless of what I put my time and energy into. So I'm always going to be putting out my own songs and things like that. But I'm not necessarily like trying to only do that. I'm like, if I write a song that feels really that I connect to a ton and feels undeniably me, I'll put it out. Or if it's a song I really like and it's like, hey, we pitched this for like a year, no one's really caught on to it or really was like taking interest in it, but I still believe in it, then I'll like put it out myself. Because that happens at the same time too. And just because Justin Bieber like doesn't want to record your song doesn't mean it's a great song. And I think that's like really important to recognize, because I think people can get discouraged if like someone doesn't want to record their song or whatever. And like there's so many factors. It's extremely political. It's the right timing. It's like you pretty much need the stars to align to get it, like to have a song with like a big artist or have the person with the right email sending, you know what I mean? Like who sends the song is super important. Like fortunately and unfortunately, if you have that person sending the song, that's great. And it's a little bit of luck too. So like I always tell people if I'm pitching songs, I try, or like if my manager, like, cause before I signed with my management, I would just like pitch songs myself. And I forget who said it. I think, I don't know, I read it on Instagram or something, but this dude was like, always send your songs around like 9-10 a.m. because that's when A&Rs are having their like first cup of coffee. You know, when you have like your first like cup of coffee and like everything feels like everything is good. Like, and so it's like, you're like you could send me like the worst song ever. And it's like, I'm like over here like, wow, this is a hit. We're going to cut this. So always try to send your songs to A&Rs when they're having their first cup of coffee. It will increase your chances.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, oh man, that's something that I've never heard to do at 9 or 10 in the morning. That's funny.
Yeah, I have no idea how accurate or like how much that helps, but it's kind of funny to think about, and I relate as far as like my mood when I'm like, oh, there's probably a little bit of truth to that.
Oh yeah, totally. No, yeah, that first cup of coffee, I was actually just thinking that today. I was like, oh man, I'm excited for today. And I was like,
yeah,
it's probably the 2 cups of coffee I just had.
Yeah, everything like feels right in the world for a second.
Exactly.
And then like 3 p.m. hits and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So how has the pandemic affected all of that as far as songwriting goes? Has it changed a lot?
Yes. I used to I remember, it's so funny. I found this like tweet that I posted like a year before the pandemic, and I said like songwriting on Zoom. Like I said, like I will never write songs on Zoom ever. It's like it's the least chill vibe there is. It's like exchanging your vows like with spotty cell phone reception. It's like this thing that is like so precious, and you're like doing it and it's like, wait, what do you say? And it's so I was so anti Zoom. And look at us now. I'm doing it every day. So at first I was like, damn, I hate this. I don't want to do it. But I've adapted, and you can't see because I have a dog as my background, but like I have like behind me, I have like a microphone set up. I have like everything I need to like fully produce records and cut vocals and work. And I've gotten some amazing songs via Zoom, and it's actually, there's some parts of it that are quicker because of it, and like because I would commute to LA, and so like I said I'm like an hour away, but if you leave LA at 5 p.m. and drive to Orange County, that's close to like it's like 2.5 hour drive. And so like there was so much time spent in the car, which is like not always bad. I can like decompress and like whatever, sit with my thoughts, which can be scary or healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've like, and I'm so grateful that I started getting into production more and more like a few years ago, and vocal production. And I can't imagine what the pandemic would be like on me if I couldn't record vocals and things like that, because I would be so dependent on someone else for that. And it's kind of nice that like I'm pretty self-sufficient when it comes to things like that. And so it's definitely like an adjustment. Like with people that I already know, I can still get like excited for a session. But I was telling someone like today I have a session with my friend Daniel. We haven't written in a really long time, and like I'm excited for that. But it's I was telling someone like I rarely am like I'm excited to write a song on Zoom today, because
Oh,
like
yeah.
because even if you write like a bad song in person, like you're still kind of getting like you're able to like hang with people and things like that. You're kind of excited for like the moment. You're in the studio. It's a little more of like a tangible experience. The energy is like really high, like in a studio, and so that's kind of like something I've struggled with. But like, I mean, it's been good overall. We're adapting, and I feel like we're moving hopefully towards more in-person sessions. I'm starting to do a couple with like people I know, or I worked with a producer. I was like vaccinated the other day,
Oh,
which was
cool.
dope. And so, yeah, it's been tough. And I mean, definitely like the pandemic, like I had a song with like this pretty big group, and uh they're like, I think like they're like, oh, like, you know what I mean, we're gonna put this on hold, or now we're gonna slow down. But it's like I think some budgets were like cut for certain things, and
Oh, yeah.
or I'm just telling myself that. But there are for sure like for example, like I sing on a lot of like DJ songs, like, and do like DJ features and stuff like that. And it's like DJs make a lot of their money from like touring and stuff like that. They get paid
Yeah.
crazy amounts for shows.
Yeah.
And those haven't existed for over a year now. So it's like, which like it slowly trickles into like, okay, this is my vocal fee. And it's like, usually if someone's like, hey, like we can't afford your vocal fee, I'm like, bro, I know how much you make every show. Like you can afford my vocal fee. But now I can't even pull that, because like, I'm like, oh, you haven't played a show in like a year. Like that's
Yeah.
super gnarly. I believe you now. There's like little things like that. But overall, like, man, I'm still just like super grateful that like I've been able to figure it out, and definitely scary, and like we're still trying to figure it out, but like I feel optimistic and hopeful today about it. And I mean, things like the app that you guys are creating, I think, and there's like a lot of people that are working hard to like make it better, and kind of find hope in this situation, and help songwriters get paid more. This, I don't know if you follow David Israelite, but he's this like monster music lawyer dude, and him and Ross Golan with And the Writer is like such just like warriors for the songwriter community. And I don't know. I at least feel hopeful today. So we'll see how I feel tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel good about everything today, and still grateful that like I'm able to get some cuts during this time, and still collaborate and make stuff happen. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is fortunate to, a lot of people. It's been a tough year for the whole world, but
yeah.
that's good that you can still create music, and hopefully things get back to normal soon. How did you get involved in music? What age were you?
Yeah, I started playing when I was like 17. So fairly later, I feel like, compared to most people like I work with. And there's a couple people that like I've talked to and kind of shared my story that started late as well. But pretty much I I was always like interested in music and liked music. My dad, no one in my family really plays instruments or anything, but my dad was super into music and into classic rock, and he would like, I remember like he would play songs and be like, tell me like every instrument you hear within the song.
Oh,
um
yeah.
and I'd be like, I don't know. No, but like I would try to like find things. And I think there's like a lot of little I'm now that I look back, there's a lot of subtle things that I think helped me, even if like no one in my family plays music. Like sometimes I would go to bed to like Bach or Beethoven, like on tapes and like things like that. Or like if I had like nightmares, they would like bad dreams, that my parents would put that on, and I would like go to sleep and sleep well. Um, and then I started when I was like a freshman in high school. I was like super into rap, and that's like all I listened to.
Mm.
And then when I started making my own music around, and like started like learning me like piano off of YouTube when I was like 17, I was doing more like singer songwriter stuff. I was like super inspired by like Ben Rector. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Like huge Nashville like singer songwriter dude. And yeah, I pretty much just started learning chords off of tutorials from YouTube when I was like 17. And then I just never really stopped, and I kept making music. And as soon as I learned my first chords, I was like, I'm gonna make a song. And so like even from the beginning, like I would like try to learn a cover and I'd be like, dang, like this sounds like the song, but like just worse. So I'm just gonna make my own song. So, yeah, I was like, and I'm really good. Like I'm really good at like doing a cover, but not doing it exactly how it is, which has been helpful for songwriting because like that kind of whatever that gap is or that disconnect of like, I remember I would like try to learn and he'd be like, no, like you're singing this note when it's like this note. And like my brain is just set up to like create a new song. And so, which is really helpful as a songwriter, I can hear something and be inspired by it and like create something that sounds maybe, like I said, like inspired by it, but not like the same thing. Like it's hard for me to hear something and then do exactly that. I'm way better at like hearing something and then doing something kind of like it. And so, yeah, I just kind of started writing songs and doing that. And like I said, I moved to, then I ended up moving to Nashville for a couple of years. And that's when like I learned a ton out there just by working with a bunch of songwriters and producers and getting introduced to co-writing, which is like huge, like having a good co-write. Like I remember my first good co-write with my friend Brittany Lane, and it just like opened my eyes. And we wrote the song called Miles on My Heart. And that then I was like, okay, I'm obsessed with this. Like, because the cool thing about co-writing, even if you're like the best songwriter ever, you're still limited to what you know and your perspective and the way you see things. And so like, it's so cool when someone will say a line or a melody and you're like, whoa, I've never even thought in that language or thought like that. And then my favorite part is like 3 sessions later, I do something similar to what that person did in our session that I hadn't done before. And I'm like, oh, like, and the more sessions I do, the more I'm kind of grabbing all these little things and gaining more skills and different ways of looking at things. And I guess ways that you start your melodies or ways you look at life or heartbreak or romance, all this stuff. And so that's just like my favorite part, and just getting to know someone. Like I had a session the other day, and at the end of it, we were like in the text and we're like, I love you. And it's like, like because it's such like, you get to know someone so quick and it's such like an intimate thing. And so, yeah, I started doing that. And then I ended up moving back to LA and doing stuff for like TV and film and writing for other people and while also like doing my own stuff. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, speaking of TV and film, you worked on a song that was on Shameless, right? With the kids.
Yeah. That's my
That's awesome.
like side project we started like last year with my friend Adam John, which has been super fun. I feel like I get to take on, like with the kids, I feel like I get to take on like a whole new character. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's almost like if I was the lead singer of like an indie pop band, like that's what I feel like it is. And it's super fun. And the songwriting for that is super easy. Like we just kind of hang out and write the songs, and Adam produces like all of it. And it's been super fun. And we just kind of started getting some more and more syncs and stuff placed this year, which has been really encouraging and exciting.
Nice. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. You know, it's always fun to get a song on something like that. I feel like it's a big milestone.
Yeah, no, it's like having a song placed anywhere is like never not exciting. Like it's always like just to hear it. I'm like, are you sure? Like, this is really my song. Like it's always really exciting. And like, yeah, I'll never get over that feeling. And it's funny, like, cause Shameless, I didn't know it. I had never seen Shameless until we found out I had a song in it. And now I watch Shameless, like there's a trillion seasons. So I have like a long way to go, but I've been watching it like every night before I go to bed. And it's the series. It's so good. I don't know if you watch Shameless at all, but I love the show. It's like so chaotic, but like sweet at the same time. And so, it like introduced me to the show. And so now I'm like hooked on the show which makes like having a song in it that much sweeter. So.
Oh, totally. So what's kind of the process of getting placed on a show like that?
Yeah. So, okay. That one was super random. It's kind of different every time. I used to have like a sync deal with this company called Castle Peak Music. And now my new management team that I signed to in January, they have like their own sync department. So now like they're handling my sync, but this was with the kids stuff. We have it in a few different like libraries. So like Adam and I, we know some music supervisors, and we just like over the years of just doing music and stuff and having placements, we've built relationships with some people, and so they just have some of the songs. And pretty much Adam texted me one day for the Shameless thing. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna have a song in Shameless," and I was like, "Oh, great, that's crazy." I was like, how did that happen?" And he goes, "I don't know. This guy named Bob like placed it." I was like, "Okay." Like the most like I think yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like it was that song. And I was like, okay. And then now this dude, he's placed it like he got us like one more in it too. And I think this dude just has a relationship with the Shameless music supervisor. And so yeah, what it comes down to is like a lot of the stuff is just like relationship based, which kind of just like takes time to build those. Like I've been doing this now for 10 years. And so yeah, just kind of like random stuff like that. It's like creating the product, like having a product that is like good enough to be in that, or like the quality is good enough, and then the relationship, or sometimes it's like vice versa. Sometimes it's like kind of there, but the person is super well connected, so they use it anyway. And so, but this was just like we were just kind of making songs for fun, and then now we have them with a few different people who's like their whole job is just to kind of place these songs, and so we just hope that they continue to get placed. And
Yeah, no kidding. You said there was another one that might be placed. Is that what you're saying?
There was another one. It was the same. They placed the same song on Shame on another, which is super random. That's happened to me like a couple times, but like it seems strange that they would use the same song in the same show. But yeah, I guess like if they like a certain part or like a transition or something, it just makes sense. So that same dude placed the same song on Shameless as well. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so that happened. I had a song on the show called The Middle on ABC or like Freeform, I think they call it now. But and they this old song I did, it's like a folk kind of song called Summer Song, and they also placed that one twice on there. And it's like I'm not gonna ask, or I'm not gonna question why. I'm just like awesome. But like it always like I'm always surprised, and I'm like, are you sure like the same song in the same show? I'm like, okay. I'm grateful regardless.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So how does that compare, the connections, the collaborations? You kind of touched base on how it compares in Nashville versus LA, but as far as the lining up songs with the shows, is that a different process in Nashville, or I would assume it's just different people?
Yeah,
right?
it's just different people. I'd say in Nashville, it's a little more, I don't know. Like it's a lot easier to like just meet someone that like has a billion placements, like or like has a lot of success in TV and film. And like it's a lot easier to be at a barbecue and I'm like, oh yo, you do this, and then like maybe you end up getting a session with that person. I feel like in LA, because it's not as, it is social, but like in a weirder way. And so just more like in a social status kind of way. It's like there's a little more like ego, I feel like, in LA. And so I think like a lot of those relationships are kind of cultivated within a publisher ecosystem or a label ecosystem, where like I feel like there's a lot of room to be independent or unpublished songwriter in Nashville and still work with like some of the best people. With all that to say, like that can't not happen in LA, but I feel like it's way more common. Like when I was in Nashville, and I'm not published, I don't have a publishing deal, but like I was able to work with some incredible people that had a lot of success without having whatever a hit song or having a record deal or a publisher. It was more of like, oh, I heard you did some songs with this dude and I really like those, so like we should work together. It's not more like word of mouth, and it's just more of a small town vibe in Nashville versus LA is a little more of like a clout thing.
Yeah.
But with all that said, it's not as black and white as that, but I'd say like it's definitely a strong, it's just a little different, I'd say, in that sense. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, no, that does make sense. It's always interesting, especially with two major music cities like Nashville and LA to hear, you know, different experiences of how they compare, because that does seem to be the vibe, I guess, of
Yeah.
both. Nashville's more, you know, small, connected, you know, one-on-one type of relationships, and
Yeah.
LA is maybe more of a hierarchy type of system. You know, you go through the right channels type of thing. Is that
Yeah.
kinda right?
Yeah. Just a little more like fancy, I guess. I don't know. And there's
Fancy.
like some like that, I don't know, or just like, I guess like, yeah, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just a little more like in, intense, you know? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
But
That
there
does
is
make
like, there
sense.
is some like, there's also something like kind of exciting about it. So like, especially if I'm doing like a hip hop session, like it might be a little more, it's going to be way different than like a Nashville session at like a house studio. Like I'd say like just to kind of paint a picture, it's like Nashville could be like a 9 a.m. session at some like house studio, and this guy is like playing guitar and like his like, you know what I mean, this like sweet house. And it's like where like in LA you could have a session at like 10 p.m. that goes to like 4, and it's like in the studio we're blasting it like a super extroverted producer where it's like let's go, like where it's like, and I love that energy sometimes, but I also like both sides. And like I said, it's not as black and white as that, but that can be kind of the polarizing difference of like a thing. And like sometimes songwriters are in there that aren't even songwriters, but they're just there. And like, I don't know, it can be crazy. But I think the
Yeah,
craziness is also like, wow, some of the songs are so awesome that are made in places like
yeah.
that. So
That makes sense. That makes sense. So did you play a lot of live shows in both locations, or?
when I lived in Nashville, I played live a lot more just because it's such a live music city. And
Yeah.
I was like, when I was in Nashville, I was mostly focusing on my artist stuff. That was like pretty much my main priority. I wasn't doing too much pitching,
Hmm.
like or like writing for other artists. And so yeah, I was playing like a lot of like showcases and things like that. And then when I moved out to LA, I play live everyone. I mean, now it's been a while, but like I wasn't focusing on live as much. Like I do like playing live, but like it's a lot of work to like one have like a really good to like set up a good show. It's like rehearsal, having a good band and all that stuff. And
Totally.
I do love playing live, but like I love just like making music in the studio too. And I'm really comfortable with that. And I now that I've done like features too, I think one of my favorite things is like with like DJs, like going out and like performing a song like with a DJ, because it's like I just kind of get to go do like, I know with all that said, I'm usually, it's not getting like a show fee. It's usually like, oh, if this guy's in my city, like I'll go out and do a song. But like I'd say it just as far as like an experience and like a fun vibe, a lot of DJ shows are like really big, and so it's really awesome to go out and just like sing one song at this huge show and then just like
Yeah.
chill and be like, oh, that was tight. You know. But yeah, I like playing live. I also like get super anxious and obsessive about like keeping my voice like and not losing my voice. Like I've gone on tour like one time I did like a 2-month thing
Oh,
um
nice.
in like North America. We did like pretty much, we did like the East Coast, West Coast, and then like a week in Canada with this dude Taylor Matthews like years ago. And it was
Nice.
fun, but like I have to like watch what I eat and like I can't really drink. And it's like
Yeah.
like some people can really like live a rock star life, but I think most people can't. So it's like,
Yeah.
and it's like not, it's amazing. Like, and it was one of the best experiences of my life, but like to really put on a good show and take care of yourself, it's not like as glamorous as like a lot of people would think it is. Especially if you want to
Yeah.
sound good, and people don't care. Like when, especially like, I mean, I'm even like this too. I mean, now I'm more considerate, but like when you go to a show, you don't care. You don't even know this dude just did like 8 shows before this, and you expect him to play, or like this girl, he or she, like you expect them to play like it's their first show of the tour. And it's like, and if they're not, they
Yeah.
hit like one wrong note, they're like, oh, they're bad live. Like, and that's so much,
Yeah.
that's so much pressure. And so I love the feeling of playing live. There's nothing like it, especially like if you can have a moment of playing live, like, you know, like when you go to a show, or like you guys are musicians as well, and like when you're just kind of in the zone, you're like, this is amazing. I love those moments where you can kind of realize what is happening. then also like the feeling after of a show is like incredible. Like I
Yeah,
always feel
yeah,
like super accomplished, and I feel it's like this like this high that is like
yeah.
I don't know. And one other thing I love about playing live is like it really reminds you that you are like that you like are alive. Like you're singing, you're performing, you're doing all this stuff. Like your brain is like working at its full,
Yeah.
like all cylinders are like firing. And I think like it's something that is just you're remembering lyrics. Like it's kind of like, all right, is this thing on? Like making sure it's like a full-on
Yeah.
test of just like, okay, like I'm a living, breathing human being, and I can't believe I get to like experience this and do this. So
Yeah, well, and each moment matters, you know, in the live. I totally agree with you. You know, you're a living human being, and every moment's actually happening as it's
yes,
happening. You know,
yes,
that's it is fun because you feel like there's a little bit of risk with, you know, there's
totally,
sometimes technical difficulties, and
yeah.
did you ever use a humidifier
I
for
have
your
not, but
voice?
I should have. I should, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Do you ever
yeah,
have you
yeah.
used those?
I have personally, and
Nice.
I know several musicians really get a lot of benefit from using those, especially on tour when you're going through different climates and and whatnot. But I just wondered if you had. I haven't been on a tour. You know, we've played concerts, but never a
Yeah,
tour like that. So
yeah.
that sounds awesome. So you went through the east, through Canada to the west. Were you
So yeah,
right?
okay.
Is that
Sorry,
right?
continue. Yeah. I cut you off a little bit. Sorry about
Oh
that.
no, you're good. You're good. So were you how many musicians were you traveling with?
So it was an acoustic tour. It was called the Hotel Party Tour. So it was pretty much Taylor Matthews was like headlining. I was opening up for him. And we were just like in a van in like a trailer. And so we were playing in ballrooms of hotels. It was like very interesting. And so we started in Nashville, and then I think our first show was like in Florida, and then we just went all up the coast. And it was like during fall. It was so rad. It was so beautiful because I had never like
Nice.
seen, like, especially here, it's like leaves barely change color. Like seasons don't even really exist out here. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I was in Boston in the fall, and I was like losing my
Oh
mind.
man.
Like trees look like they're on fire. It's like it was, and like yeah, I was like my mind was blown. And then we went up. We went to yeah, we played in like Toronto. We played in London, Ontario. It's so funny. When it first said London on the tour, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the UK. But there's a London in Canada, which is really funny. And then we played in
Uh,
Montreal. And then sometimes on our off days, we would even do house shows. Like,
oh
and
no kidding.
so, yeah. One show in Canada, one house show, they had like way too many cats. Like I don't know how many, but it was too many. And I'm super allergic to cats, and I like almost like couldn't sing the whole. It was horrible.
Oh
But
man.
it was also it's really funny looking back now. But yeah, and so we did that, and then we took a break, like a week break. I flew back to California, and then we did some like West Coast and like Arizona stuff.
Oh
So
cool.
it
That's
was like
awesome.
kind of
Yeah.
split up. Yeah, it was like kind of split up a little bit.
For
And
the
you guys,
locations, yeah.
yeah, you guys are from Utah, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. My mom, she used to work at the REI in Salt Lake.
Oh no kidding. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, she lived out
Oh
there for a
man.
bit. So,
That's awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's a good story. I was there a couple months ago actually.
no, I do so
Maybe
beautiful
it's
out there.
oh yeah, yeah. It's pretty I mean it's pretty where you are too. We love LA.
Yeah,
So what's your plan going forward then? What are kind of your goals long term
yeah.
and short term?
Um, it's almost like continuing to do what I'm doing, but just like growing that and getting bigger placements. And I have some like I just landed like one of my biggest placements. Like it's not out yet, but it's coming out this year. That I'm like really excited about, and it's like a feature that I'm singing on as well.
Oh nice.
So I'm really excited about that. That which should be out like sometime this year. And so like I'd say like just continuing. I want a hit record. I want a few. And
Yeah.
so it's like just continuing to write for like bigger artists and just artists that are like dope, and getting songs cut that like I really like. Because sometimes it's weird, like sometimes like the songs you really like aren't the ones you get cut, and the one you're like, oh, this is okay, it gets cut. But either way, regardless, I'm grateful. But yeah, just continuing to make music and getting better at production. I'm starting to produce a lot more. And then just continuing to put out and share like my story and put out my own artist stuff as well. But I really just want to like continue to like make music and collaborate with as many people as I can. And I've mentioned a bit, but my management team, Hallwood, they're so incredible. And just to kind of keep getting placements like with them and growing with them. And yeah, I was telling Brennan, my manager, the other day, it's like, I was like, I want a big song like in every genre, which is like very like an ADD thought, but like, I don't know. And like, it's not like I feel like how you could hear that and feel like kind of turned off by that. It's not like I want like a famous song or like, it's different than like wanting fame. It's just like, I want people to sing a song in a stadium that like I wrote. Like I want people to connect to something. Like I want people to like dance their ass off to like this song. And I don't know, there's just something just super fun. And like I just love the high of like, oh, the song's on hold. Oh, like they're not, oh, like, oh, they just cut the vocals. Like, and there's just something so fun about that. And just wearing so many different hats, like I said, working on different kinds of music. I just want to get like better and better. And just become like a better songwriter, a better guitar player. Like I just always like want to be better, and I want to be the best. Like, and so I'd say that, and also while doing that, like and growing as like a songwriter, producer, like making sure that like I'm still growing as like a good friend and like a good boyfriend, and just making sure like I'm staying healthy, like working out and like cooking a lot and things like that. Like those things are super important to me. And like I feel like especially in LA in the music industry and just the world and the US in general, it's so about the hustle, hustle, hustle. And it's like, yeah, I want to hustle, but like the people that I admire the most in the music industry are people who like get cuts and work their ass off, but also are like a good husband and like a good friend, kind of like what I was saying. So like I just want to make sure that like I'm performing and like having excellence in all areas of my life. And like I was talking to my friend at dinner the other day, and I was like, music is the most important thing in the world, but it also doesn't matter at all. And both of those things are kind of true. And so like it's just good. Like it's very easy to feel claustrophobic, like you don't get the song, or like oh, you had a bad session or whatever it is. And just like realizing like, dude, if I go like out on the street and I talk to someone, like they don't care about my songs. Like they're just like a dude. Or like you talk to someone who like works at a bank, like they just like did this, like worked their job and like went home and like walked their dog and they're just like chilling. Like it's just not as important. And like I feel like I am, like we all are important, but like it's we're not as like special too at the same time as we think we are. And I mean that in like a healthy way, not like I don't matter. Like we all matter. But like I think just kind of realizing like it's so important, but like it's also like whatever, dude. Like I feel like we as people like matter more than like the profit of music or like the outcome of music. And I think just kind of realizing like, hey, this is super, super special, but like it's just pretty cool. And that's allowing it to only be pretty cool, because these things, like whenever I have all my emotions like all in music and everything, like like my whole mood matters, it's all dependent on my music, I'm a mess. But like if I know who I am and outside of music, and I think I'm dope with the hit song or without the hit song, then like that carries out into like all areas of my life. And I think just kind of reminding yourself like, hey, like I'm worth knowing with or without the music, and I'm worth loving with or without the music, and doing things in my life that implement and reinforce that thought to myself. So
and I think that's very important to bring to light for a lot of different people, honestly, because I think a lot of people, they're grounded with, maybe things like maybe they're just grounded with music, whereas that can be part of your ground. But I like what you're saying. If that's not going exactly how you hope it would, then you still have yourself, like you, the things that you are, that don't revolve around. I mean, because a lot of that stuff you can't really control, like the placement stuff, getting things wherever it is. You can influence them, but only to a degree, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I like that. I think that's I think that's fantastic. So you write then to connect with the audiences. So for you, it's
Yep.
not about the fame, not about the money. You just want to connect however you can with them, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's fantastic.
Thank
Well,
you.
so we like to ask all the artists this, and you kind of just answered it, to be honest. But so I guess your advice. Do you have advice for musicians, kind of up and coming, just starting their journey on this?
Yeah. I'd say, I mean, I think collaborating is the hugest thing. Kind of what I was touching on earlier is just like, because too, it's like if the three of us write a song, like, so if I write a song by myself, this is more for like writing for other people, but like my team is sending it out, or like I'm the one sending it out. But if the three of us write, we're gonna have three different perspectives. The song potentially is gonna be better because like it's not just me and like my dumb thoughts, or like me and my great thoughts, whatever it is. And then also you're sending it to your people. You're sending it like, so now like the song, before the song could only go here, but now it like potentially can reach this team, can really reach this team. And so like the song just has a bigger reach. And then it's like, okay, you sign a pub deal. Oh, this song person, now your publisher has the song. And so now they're pitching it. And so it's just, I think it's a healthy balance of creating on your own, but then also collaborating, because like you're going to learn a lot, and it's, you never know where the song can go because of that. And then also I think recognizing that like, hey, your friend who's an intern at Warner or whatever might be like the head of A&R and placing the biggest songs within a couple years. And so like, just don't count anyone out on the business side and the songwriter side. Like, I think, and that doesn't mean you have to work with everyone, but I think just being extremely kind and respectful to everyone, regardless of like what their status is in the music industry or how talented they are. I've seen people who like could barely write a song end up writing hits or signing huge pub deals, and vice versa, or people who are like just trying to get their foot in the door and couldn't even get an internship, and now, like I said, they're like the head of A&R or whatever, or they were like an assistant to someone, and now, and so I think it's just really important to like those people become the bosses. And so just recognizing that, and you shouldn't do it because of that, but like it's just something to consider. You should be kind of just like, it's like, okay, if you go eat at a restaurant, like be kind to the waitress or the waiter, you know what I mean? And so I
Yeah.
think like regardless of what someone's status is, just being like really kind, and I think that will go a long way. Because I would way rather work with someone who's extremely fun and fun and kind, and yeah, just like a good person to be with, than like the person who may be really talented but like is not super fun. Like the hang is very
Yeah.
valuable. And don't also at the same time, don't beat yourself up if you're like, oh, it was a bad hang in that session. It's fine. But like, I think, I don't know, it's whatever that quote is, like, people remember how you made them feel or whatever. I don't, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know exactly what that quote is, but like, yeah, when I leave a session, I'm like, oh, dude, that was awesome. And sometimes like, I don't even think whether like, oh, it was the song good. Oh, that's a plus. But like, I like working with people who make me feel good, and it's like, it's just fun to hang out. And so, and just write songs almost every day if you can, and don't be too precious, like with your ideas or your songs. You can always write another one. You can always write a better one. And so, yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Real quick, how many songs do you think you've written?
Geez, probably over 1,000. I don't know, a lot.
Nice.
I write songs
Wow.
like I had a session every day last week. I have a session every day this week. I usually don't work on the weekends, but like on the weekdays, I have a session every day next week, which I don't necessarily recommend for people, but I'm just kind of going for it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I write a lot of songs. And I'd say another thing too, it's like be organized, because sometimes I find old songs and I'm, oh shoot, this is actually pretty good. And it's super easy to like, and I actually try to finish most songs, because sometimes I said like some okay songs get placed, or sometimes people want the song that you think is okay. And sometimes the one that you're like, this is undeniable, doesn't see the light of day. So you just never really know. And that's also, I think that's exciting, that like at the end of the day, it's not really up to us, it's up to the people, and like if people connect to it or not. So
Yeah, I think that's great advice. It's like a kind of like a gamble type of thing
Yep.
with that, but you can't know unless you roll pretty much, you know. So
Exactly.
you have
And
to do
so,
it.
and it's like a good
Yeah.
exercise just to like finish things, because it's like it's
Yeah.
exciting to like to start something. It's kind of like, yeah, it's that initial like rush. Like you could start new ideas all the time, but I think it's really important to finish things and exercise that muscle. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No, well, thanks for that. That's fantastic advice.
Yeah.
We love your sound, man. We're excited to
Thank
see
you so
what
much.
happens next. Yeah,
Thank you. I
it
appreciate
sounds
it.
great. Love your voice. Your voice is
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, and we appreciate you being on the show. Bowie, do you have any other questions at this time?
Yeah, for listeners, where can people find you on social media?
Oh yeah, pretty much everywhere. It's at Kyle Reynolds Music. On Twitter, it's at Kai Reynolds Music, because Kyle Reynolds Music couldn't fit. But yeah, if you just type in Kyle
Oh,
Reynolds or whatever, you should be able to find it just about everywhere.
Perfect. Thanks.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Well,
and I
hey,
would love
man,
if you want to
oh,
send me some of your guys' music too. I'd love to check it out and listen to it. So
yeah, that'd be great. We haven't been in the studio for a bit, unfortunately. You know, with had our hands kind of tied, but yeah,
yeah,
we'd love to love to send you what we used to do for sure, man.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll send you a link. But yeah, thanks again for your time, man. We'd love to catch up and stay in touch and you know
100%.
do this again in the future when your
Yeah,
big when your next big thing has come out. And yeah,
yeah,
we're excited to see what you do, man.
awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for the support.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, well, take care, man. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll stay in touch.
All right, sounds good. Have a good weekend.
Hey, thanks. You too, man.
Thanks,
We'll
man.
talk to you
Later.
soon.
See ya.
We'll see you.
Bye.